bloody war in China, the Japanese attacked the American Navy at Pearl Harbor. 60 kilometers from Hiroshima, on Japan's inland sea, other weapons banned by the 1925 Geneva Convention were being discreetly produced on the picturesque island of Okunoshima, over 450 tons a month. The 2,500 people who came to the island to work every day, many were very young. Hatsuishi Murakami was 14 when he was recruited with 64 other boys.
There was a part of the island that was used for training exercises during which they did tests with the gas. And if you hadn't correctly fixed your mask over your face, let me tell you, it was very painful and very dangerous. These exercises were considered part of our training. Mine lasted 2 years. Yes, 2 years. Because it wasn't until the third year that I was transferred to one of the units that produced the gas.
Half of the gas produced in Okunoshima was shipped to Manchuria. Unit 731 conducted experiments with the gas. By 1942, the unit had developed into a sprawling enterprise. In Hayloft, for example, Unit 100 raised and maintained a stock of some 13,000 rats, enough to meet delivery of 800 white and wild rats to Harbin every month. They were stored in these deep concrete vats. Why so many? The young Tanizaki was assigned to their breeding and the fabrication of special rat traps for very particular use.
We used a metal plate about the size of a rat, to which we attached heavy wire twisted into more or less the same shape.
Then
we set the plates to Section 1, where they were doing research on plague germ bacteria. There, in Section 1, they wedged live rats between the wire to secure them to the plates and introduced the fleas. The next step consisted of inoculating the rats with plague germs. The fleas contracted the plague from the blood of the rats they fed on, and so, in turn, became carriers. The fleas were intended to spread the plague behind enemy lines.
Since 1941, Unit 731 used the Anda Plain as a testing ground for biological weapons. This well-maintained headstone reminds us that human guinea pigs from Unit 731 were transported to 150 kilometers from Harbin in trucks, sometimes even by plane, to participate in the tests. Access to the testing site was strictly forbidden to the local population. Suzumi Suzuki went several times to Anda with the prisoners.
What do you mean? They attached people to stakes and sent in planes to bomb them. I mean, with bombs armed with bacterial weapons in order to see what happened afterwards. To see if the weapons could continue to be effective after the explosion. I wasn't part of the research team, but since there weren't many people who knew how to drive, I did serve as a chauffeur for them.
The explosion's only purpose was to release the fleas contained in ceramic jars. So the prisoners often wore helmets and metal chest protectors to protect them from flying ceramic shards, which might compromise test results. The payloads were dropped by the 731's platoon of pilots. Many had participated in the infamous biological bombing of the Chinese territory of Nankin. Shuichi Matsumoto had been in Nankin and came several times to Anda.
The only information they gave me was the target location.
多分食いかなんかにくくりつけたわけです。動き面っていうのが。
On the ground, there were probably people securely fastened by their feet and hands to stakes,
でそこでまあ人の
so they couldn't possibly escape.
後ろ帰ってきちゃったら私らもそこを追い
But our job, quite simply, was to drop the payload and return to base.
たわけです。
Traces of the asphalt runway in Anda can still be found. It was used to fly in 10 to 15 additional prisoners on short notice. As in the trucks, the prisoners were handcuffed and chained together.
The payloads I dropped probably contained fleas, since we were producing so many fleas in the unit. The Yamaguchi section produced so many different sorts of bombs. We gave them a nickname, started calling them the bombers. The bombs we dropped were called Sacco, but there were plenty of others.
One February day, and despite the iron around their legs, a group of prisoners did try to escape. They were quickly captured and met their deaths on the bumpers of the trucks that ran them all over, as this sketch reminds us.